Science. And we are live here to
Right.
talk about space, the final frontier,
Yeah.
among other things.
Yeah, as
Uh,
usual, we don't have a specific topic. Yeah.
yeah, but we'll have plenty to talk about anyway. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
there is a lot of cool stuff happening in space right now. Well, and some not so cool stuff, I guess, depending on how you look at it. Like people
True.
stuck in the Chinese space station, maybe not so cool, but
Hmm.
potential alien visitors would be kind of sweet.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there is always really cool updates going on with Three Eye Atlas, like weird stuff
It
going on
it
all
like
the time.
yeah, it started off where people were like, "Oh, this is a bit weird," but then a lot of other scientists were like, "No, this is we can explain it this way and that." But as it gets closer, it's
There's
like, "Oh, well, it gets weirder and weirder."
there's too much to just point to coincidence. Like coming from, I mean, like maybe 9 degrees different in trajectory or something,
Hmm.
same direction as the wow signal from like 50 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Which was
and
dismissed as being like, oh, well, that really was nothing. But it's like,
and
well,
and as
okay,
we've
maybe it
already
was.
seen, this thing can like course correct. So being 9 degrees off of the wow signal is close enough to say, yeah, that's probably the thing that sent it. Uh,
And it came from outside the solar system, way beyond,
mhm.
and is following the orbital plane. Like it's within that. Stuff, even things that come from like the Uruk cloud are coming in from all sorts of angles and stuff like that. But this thing is like right in line and
Yeah.
just conveniently, as it gets close, it's like hidden by the sun and stuff. Like, wait a minute. That is a little bit weird.
And it's gonna be in the solar system for quite a while, which you know is staggering to the mind to be like, okay, this thing is like screaming fast, but it's still gonna be here for like months. Like
Yeah.
that's how big our backyard is.
And I don't think people realize how vast space is. But well, and that's one of the things too. The size of this thing is unexpected because like there's only been so many things that have come from outside the solar system that we got to see flying
Hmm.
by, and typically they were kind of small, and so like odds are we should see a whole bunch of small things before we see a big thing, but we've only seen a handful of these, and then all of a sudden there's this huge one that's got a weird shape. Like, it's really an outgassing in the wrong angle. Like, okay, well, what is this thing?
Well, and speaking of outgassing, like as it was coming around from the other side of the sun, it lost a bunch of mass and accelerated,
Mm-hmm.
which those two things together alone would make enough sense, except that when that does happen with a comet, the gas is within the tail of it, and that doesn't happen in this situation. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't see where that mass went. Like it's
Yes, and
vanished.
also the composition is kind of unusual too,
Hmm.
unexpected again. But
Yeah,
it's like, well, we haven't seen that many of these things, so I don't know. What can we expect?
right.
Yeah.
But they're saying it's billions of years old, so that right there would probably make most people say, oh, okay, it can't be created by some beings and they're riding in it, because like I don't care like how science fiction you want to get. Nothing is living for billions of years
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
freaking space rock or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Yeah. Interstellar space. Yeah. No way.
But yeah, who knows? Like maybe to achieve interstellar travel, some species out there was like, you know what, let's just hitch a ride on a rock.
mhm.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
and then managed to build a rocket that landed them on the rock and they excavated the inside and built a home in there, and then generations and generations and generations just live in a rock flying through
Sure.
space.
And that is not unreasonable. Because like the earth is billions of years old and here we are living on it. You know,
Yeah.
like, well, is it possible that some advanced civilization a long time ago constructed this or utilized it, and they're like, well, hey, why don't we just see what's out there?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what we would do.
Yeah.
Honestly, like human beings, it's like, just think about it. Why go to the moon? The moon is a desolate dust ball. There's absolutely nothing there at all. It's just like, well, we go there because it's there. You know, why people want to go to Mars? Mars is a stupid destination. They're like, oh, we're going to colonize it. Like, really? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds dumb, but people are totally on board. People are like, oh, yeah, I know it's a one-way trip. I want to do it. And like, okay, well, okay, if we do stuff like that, crazy ass things like that, well, okay, another advanced civilization that human-esque or something in terms of our minds, yeah, they probably might do the same thing.
Yeah. The only thing left on the moon is American flag, a bunch of space debris, and the leftover stage from when Altair played. That's the first band on the moon.
Yep. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They
Well,
just
it's,
couldn't really take it back with them, so they just left it there.
well, exactly. Too resource intensive. Well, and of course, there's the alien bases on the far side of the moon and uh, down in the caverns in the hollow moon. Of course, we all know that.
I don't know, like if this is just like a giant surfboard in space that some aliens decided to like carve a hole out in and become like nomadic, um I kind of wouldn't expect them to actually like make physical contact because that thing probably doesn't have any brakes on it.
I
uh
would imagine not. No.
and they probably wouldn't really have engineered a way to like get out and fly around in Starbug or something, because
Mhm.
obviously then because it doesn't have brakes, how the hell would you get back to it? If
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
spend a couple of weeks on shore leave and then whoops,
Yeah, and
rock's gone.
it may just be like an automated probe too. Let's assume it is something other than just a big space rock.
Mhm.
Uh, it it's probably more likely that there are not living beings on it. That it's like some kind of robotic probe technology to just go check out things and fly by various places that are potentially interesting. Because like we now have the technology to observe other star systems and look at other planets and be like, yeah, that's a candidate that's kind of similar to Earth. So
Mm.
it it stands to reason that other beings may have done something similar, and they're like, well, I don't know, we'll send something off to check that out, and we'll hear back from it when our great 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 grandkids um
Right.
receive a signal.
Yeah, even if it was just kind of like a thing that swings by planets that have intelligent life and just sends a message that says like, hey, we're out here too, just
Mhm.
wanted to say hi. And
I can imagine
yeah.
there's like a signal reaching Earth and we like patch into it and it's just like an alien going, what's up?
Can I jabber at you?
Yeah. It's like, oh shit. What was that movie? The Explorers, where the aliens like watched all of our TV shows and absorbed our culture and behaved all crazy because it was like, oh, all the wild things, the music, the movies and TV shows, they thought that was like how we actually were. Um, and so to relate to us, they were like acting that way. And we were looking at them like, whoa, these guys are weird. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I I really hope that it is aliens because I feel like I'm ready to see that happen. Like,
I think most people share that sentiment, actually.
yeah,
I think
like
most of Earth is completely fine. They'd be like, well, yeah, that, well,
yeah, even if
okay.
all it was just a message, how cool would that be to know, like, have irrefutable proof that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say irrefutable, but of course people are still going to try to poke holes in it no matter what. You're gonna be like,
Flat
oh, the
earthers.
government staged this or
Yeah.
something, like, yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's all
But
holograms and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
I just think
mhm.
that would be the coolest thing in the
No, I
world.
think it would be very cool to know that we're not really alone out there in the
Yeah.
cosmos. That which we know we're not alone. I, like statistically, it's impossible that well, okay, unless you believe in God or something like that, that God specifically picked this place and built everything up to for us to live on and created us and whatnot and like and for whatever reason created this huge fucking universe that we're never going to be able to see ever. But okay, whatever. But we're the only ones. If you believe in not that kind of thing, then well, the odds are there are other intelligent species out there, probably ones that kind of resemble us. Um, uh, if there are planets that are similar to Earth, then we can expect evolution to carry on in a similar fashion and craft ultimately similar things.
Yeah.
So there's probably human-esque people living on other planets out there in the galaxy and in the universe. The galaxy is we're more likely to see neighbors from within the galaxy and not from another galaxy. Like we're not going to see neighbors from Andromeda showing up or something. Probably
Mhm.
not.
You
Uh,
know, if I were a religious person, the way my brain works, I would still be glad to find out that there's aliens out there.
mm-hmm.
And I understand, I realize that there are a lot of religious people that don't want it to be true because they don't want that to be true. Like,
Well, because it challenges the convention that they've come to accept.
exactly. But as an atheist, I would still be open to and super like stoked to have been wrong if this rock was all of a sudden like, hey, I'm your god,
Yeah,
you know.
I know exactly. I mean that well, that is part of being an atheist is like you don't dismiss the idea of a god. There's just no evidence for a god.
Right,
But if
then there would be
God
evidence.
showed up one day, we land on Shakari or whatever, and like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Mhm.
But even I have a lot of religious friends that would be super stoked. Who, like, if oh, this is aliens, right?
Mhm.
Because they don't believe that, like, they believe in the creation story and stuff, and God creating things on Earth and everything, but they're not so close-minded as to think that God just kind of fucked off after making Earth, but actually carried on and made many other creations throughout the cosmos. And because that's what God does. God is like an artist, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, and so they'd be like, wow, oh hey, cool, our brethren from a distant star. Like, hey, you know, it wouldn't challenge what they believe. It would reinforce it in a
Yeah.
way. So it's like I don't like but
Yeah.
what would be challenged if it is aliens, right?
Uh-huh.
The government.
Yeah.
This idea of like scarcity and control and things like that would immediately dissolve. If it's like, oh yeah, well, there's a whole nother fucking species that just came by and gave us a wave, like, hey guys,
Right.
like,
Especially
oh
if they've already been here before,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and we're like, and they're all like, hey, whatever happened to that mana machine we left you guys?
And then it's like
Oh,
only the two of us that remember that, and we get
yeah.
visited in the middle of the night. I actually have been visited in the middle of the night by something. Yeah, there's stories about that, but I see, and I think
Yeah, I had a little bit to drink. Sorry.
I didn't even know you when this happened, so that's weird, man. Hmm. Um, but I actually like a lot of the UFOs and UAPs stuff that we see going on. I think it's actually terrestrial. I don't think it's from outside the solar system, shall we say.
Hmm.
In fact, it might actually be us from maybe the future or something, interdimensional beings. Because well, once you start getting into that, it gets really, really bizarre, and like anything becomes possible. So it's like, well, yeah, I don't really think what we've been seeing for the last several thousand years, who knows how long it's been going on, was necessarily aliens from another world. It may be us from another time, which I think I've brought up before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of a theory that's running around out there. What I'm surprised about is with the Three Eye Atlas is I'm not seeing a whole lot of doomsday prophecies and stuff like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the end of the world, and like if if this were God coming in on his space rock, the
Mm-hmm.
second coming or whatever,
Yeah.
like it might stand to reason that, oh, maybe the scripture was right, and
Well,
this would be the reckoning or the
wasn't there
judgment
from like
day.
the Hale-Bopp comet? There was a doomsday cult that killed themselves,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and that was just everybody knew that was a comet. Like it wasn't suspect. But this actually is. This is like, huh? This
Wasn't
is
just any comet, it was a comet you could only board if you killed yourself.
yep.
So
Your soul.
there's astrophysics, has created a delineation between a regular comet and a comet you have to kill yourself to get on board.
Which I don't know why you'd want to
That's
be on
science.
board one. I mean, hell, haven't we seen Armageddon? Well, I guess that was an asteroid, wasn't it? I don't know. Whatever. Same diff. Yeah,
Asteroids, hemorrhoids, comets.
yeah, exactly. But it is kind of interesting, though, like what you said, that we don't see really a whole lot of the end is near repent
Yeah.
people walking the
Like
streets and stuff. It's kind of like it's another fucking Tuesday
all
for
that
most
stuff
people.
is typically based off of some wackadoodle interpretation of scripture or numerology. Like, this is the date that the world will end, and it's been foretold in the scripture, blah, 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 blah. Here we have a weird fucking thing that nobody can explain entering our backyard, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody's like, it's the end of the world, which actually is, like, don't get me wrong, is a positive thing, but weird.
Well, and it absolutely could be. I don't, I did that minimicroscopy about aliens will never invade.
Mhm.
And I definitely firmly stand by that. I believe that. If anything, it'd be some kind of contact and exchange of information or something like that, because it's kind of what we would do if we went somewhere else. Like, oh shit, there's other people over here. You
Yeah.
know, hey, what's going on, man? How's it been? How'd you develop? Like, well, share your story. But yeah, it
Government would fuck it up, though. They would fuck it up for everybody.
absolutely.
They
Mm-hmm.
would they would freak out, fire weapons at them right away, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not even wait for a hello. Just
Mm-hmm.
ah.
Yeah.
Aliens, we must kill them and destroy them before they kill us. And
Well, to go back to like a classic YouTube video, motherland, fire some missiles. Well, and that is true, but they would be doing that because it challenges the legitimacy of government. That if we did encounter beings from another star system or whatever, it would change the scope of people's understanding in a way that would make it like, hey, all this government shit that used to make sense, and all this, oh yeah, land and borders and all this, like none of that would make sense anymore. Religions, some probably wouldn't make sense anymore, but some would weather that storm just fine. And I don't think it would be that crazy, honestly. Like I think people now would be kind of chill about it. Like, yeah, okay, well, hey, how's it going?
yeah. Well, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but do you know, did NASA really put the kibosh on like trying to communicate with 3i Atlas? Can they even do that?
Well, no, that well, maybe according, like, NASA obviously can say whether NASA can do something or not, like any of their people who they're funding and their equipment and whatnot, but they can't stop me with my radio system from like sending out a signal to it. Like, that's impossible.
Right.
Well,
I wouldn't
okay.
even know how to do that, but if I did, I sure as fuck would. I'd be like, hey, if that is aliens and they can understand, like, I don't know, prime numbers or whatever, I'm gonna
Yeah.
send that,
Yep. Well, and that's the premise in Contact, of course,
Mm-hmm.
the sequence of prime numbers.
Well, what was the wow signal? There was something about that was
Wasn't that was connect?
mathematically like,
Well, it was connected with the Arecibo telescope, I believe, that sadly doesn't exist anymore. Um, but it was a signal that was very powerful
yeah.
that should not have been. It kind of was like off the charts.
Mm.
And it got dismissed as like, well, it actually might have just been the satellite that kind of crossed paths with the way they were looking or something. And it was nothing. But the coincidence of the origin of this thing,
Mm-hmm.
along with the angle of the wow signal, like that does, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it. I don't know. I honestly hope it's aliens. I hope so. I think that would
Yeah.
be just what we need as a species on Earth, because they're not going to be the aliens. This idea that a species is going to build a billions year old space vessel and cross vast distances to take us over is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why would they do that? That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what would they gain? Like, you already have clearly advanced technology way beyond our own. So what could we possibly offer you? you know,
Right.
like,
We
we're
assume that because that's how humans think. We think in terms of war. We
mm-hmm.
jump right to the kill solution for every problem. Like we use a hammer for everything.
Yeah, yep,
Absolutely
exactly.
everything. Like it in a practical sense, if you are spending the enormous amount of energy and time, sacrifice of, of proportions we can't even fathom, right?
Mm-hmm.
To go these vast distances and make contact with some other planet, right? Would it make more sense to possibly damage or destroy your vessel lose a bunch of your people in battle just to conquer the planet and have it be a base, or would it be better to try to make friends with them and be able to stay over with your friends on the way to the next place?
Yeah. Yeah,
Of course,
exactly.
the latter. But
Mhm.
humans are like, maybe we just burn it
Well,
and then destroy everything and figure out how to rebuild it later.
well,
Uh,
because we're living in this kind of, and this is what I was saying about if it is aliens, it's going to change the dynamic quite a bit. The
mhm.
perception that people have of like, oh yeah, the universe is a lot bigger than just Earth.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, there's other people out there. And at that point, I think the focus would shift from conflict to exploration, and we'd be like, wow,
Yeah.
maybe it's worth knowing what's out there and sharing some information like, hey, how'd you guys do this? And then we might do that too, and be like, well, why the hell are we going to Mars? Well, we could go off to Rigel or something like that, or Vega. um yeah.
Well, and like they're doing a lot of cool stuff with physics right now.
Mm-hmm.
They recently did some kind of like warp bubble thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read about that?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't
Yeah.
read too deeply, but
Like
I
all
heard
this
that.
stuff is just like a particle or whatever.
Yeah,
And
but that's a starting point. Like,
yeah,
just to
proof of concept.
to confirm the theory is a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, now we could dial that up potentially.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we saw a particle travel like faster than light
Mm-hmm.
by,
Yeah.
like stretching space within this bubble or whatever.
And there's also some of the work that's been done in CERN, like creating black holes. Like,
Mhm.
hey, if we can manufacture a black hole, that's a game changer when it comes to space travel. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that was a while ago. Yeah, shit. And it's funny how we think of how advanced our stuff is, yet we're barely beginning.
Mhm.
We're in like low Earth orbit essentially. And like I said before, like we could barely land something on the moon without falling over. Like, okay, yeah. Actually, we should talk about the Tiangong station because I think we'd mentioned it. You had mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there was a potential impact, and kind of similar to the ISS where the taikonauts are stuck there, but they have a contingency plan. They like already are sending up another um, vessel, essentially. I think it's kind of similar to Soyuz, their craft, which honestly I is a good thing. But here, so looking at that, because I've been following the Tiangong station since the early days, but I recently found out. So how on like the ISS they have that machine that uses urine recyc, and they reconstitute, they pump water into bags and stuff, and well, so the fucking Chinese, they made like chicken wings. They have like a grill on the Tiangong station. It
Yeah.
was like awesome. Like they had it in their oven, and like they pulled it out and there were like 6 chicken wings, like all like nice looking and hot. And it's like, damn, that's awesome. Like on the ISS, people are eating like goop out of bags, and here the fucking Chinese are just sitting there with like chicken wings.
The
It's like it's a
Chinese have
barbecue.
a whole other kind of spacewalk.
Yeah. Yep. It's the soulful strut version, basically. Dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
But I was going for the wordplay on WOK.
Oh yeah, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, and that's something too. Like if it is aliens, Three Eye Atlas, that would change kind of how we conduct ourselves in space quite a bit. Because, of course, the Chinese were um, not allowed to be part of the ISS project. And so they were like, well, I guess we're going to build our own space station then.
Yeah.
and they did, and it works. And like, actually, a lot of their shit works pretty well. But like, imagine how different it would be if everybody was working together for one common goal instead
Yeah.
of being adversarial and like, oh, well, you can't be part of this club. Um,
That's why I think it's kind of foolish to privatize space. Um, at least at this stage, it's still way too early to even conceive of something like that.
well, there
And
should be room for both. I don't think it's unreasonable to allow for like, it's like public air travel and private air travel and stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as everybody's kind of sharing information, like, oh, this is what we're doing and where we're doing it and when we're doing it. That way, well, because we don't want a mishap in space.
right, yeah. But
So that's
with
important.
the nature of privatization is usually trade secrets and things like that, and the whole competition
Well,
angle.
but you can also have space tourism, which could fund a lot of that, where otherwise people wouldn't be interested in putting their resources into something. But it's like, hey, if I can take a trip up into space, yeah, okay, fine. I'm
Again,
fine with
like
my
I'm saying,
resources
I
going there.
like at this stage, I don't think it makes sense. Like somewhere down the line, of course, all that would be totally
It will
fine.
be completely private. There, eventually, I don't think there's even going to be a public option. Um, but and again, that would be something if we did encounter aliens, that would change everything.
Yeah.
To where people would just want to explore. It's like, wow, our question is answered now. There, there's other sentient beings out there in the cosmos. Um, Holy shit! and
Right.
and then all of a sudden, all of our squabbles on Earth would kind of seem insignificant, wouldn't they? Like all
Mhm.
this stuff that we're fighting over and stuff. It's like that wouldn't make any sense at that point. And this is what governments are scared of is that potential. And this is why I think there are governments, multiple governments, who actually do know that there are aliens out there from other places, other dimensions potentially, and they're hiding it because, well, it would delegitimize them overnight. And so, well, it's in their interest to hide it, of course.
I
Um,
Yeah, I don't know that it would delegitimize because there's absolutely no reason to assume that aliens don't have governance of
no, of
some
course. Well,
kind.
I guess I'm talking more in terms of like a hierarchical structure. Um, you would have that anyway. Obviously, in terms of a project management, you need some kind of,
Right.
you need somebody to be like, oh, I'm the guy that has the big picture, and I'm telling everybody, kind of like keeping everybody organized. Need somebody to keep track of the resources and whatnot. There's always going to be a need for that, no matter what. But in terms of like government existing for the sake of government, I think that would vanish overnight if aliens came onto the scene. That
I would
people
think,
feeling that like, oh, the only way to exist is you have to have government. It's kind of like it basically is a carryover from religion. Like, oh, you know, there has to be a God, right? If there's a thing, there must be a creator, and what's my purpose in the world? Well, when there's God, you feel like, oh yeah, yep, everything's all right because there's God.
I mean, that's an interesting philosophical topic. Is Was government created from the top down or from the bottom up? Because I could see an argument for both ways.
Yeah.
Like where you're saying the top down people were like, oh, there's a God, we need to replicate that on Earth. But there's
Mhm.
also natural hierarchies, like you'd mentioned earlier, like project management and stuff. The
Mhm.
nuclear family,
Yeah.
packs,
Mhm.
villages, blah blah blah. Like it started from the ground up and just evolved into what it became, changing
Exactly.
over
Well,
time, monarchies and then republics and blah 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 and
well,
all this.
and like in early days, in like hunter gatherer slash becoming more agrarian, especially in the more agrarian cultures that existed, you had like the elders, like the old wrinkly people who had seen and done everything, who you could go to settle a dispute or get an answer for something that you as like a teenager don't understand. um and and that, see, to me, I think that's a good thing. Like, we need more of that, honestly. um
Yeah.
and not the people who are like, well, I won a popularity contest, therefore I'm your elder now. Like,
I mean,
wait,
yeah,
bro,
okay.
that
So
doesn't make.
the village elder, makes sense to a point, but then you look at the US government and these octogenarians that have no fucking clue about the modern world.
They
And
really
it's
don't.
like, well, being an elder alone is not necessarily the best credentials for everything.
No.
Um,
Now, yes. Okay. One of the problems, let's say in the US, or other, well, monarchies or whatever throughout history, these hierarchical structures like that. Um, the problem, I think, is that these elders, the totality of their experience is just being a, like, in government. Like, what a proper elder would be somebody who's done all the stuff that the culture does and has experience in a broad variety of things, and could be a wise man, essentially, or woman, to help guide people, because they're like, oh yeah, I've been a hunter, I've had my farm, I've built huts, I've dug holes, all that kind of stuff, whatever, and I've had relationships and kids, and
yeah,
like, because that, I think that's important. Like, we can look up
yeah.
to people like that as
There
like,
is a
oh.
place for all of that. And,
Mm-hmm.
like I think a government that would operate as close to perfection as possible would incorporate all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It would look at, how the Native Americans governed themselves and how they would, look to an elder of the tribe for guidance, but not let him dictate everything either. You
And
know,
that a lot of those older systems were just that.
yeah.
So they weren't
And
like a
with like
dictator.
wolves and stuff, like there's the alpha, but then there's the beta, and they actually kind of rotate depending on what need arises.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it brute strength or is it cunning? Like, um
It's a little bit of both.
yeah. And so,
Depending
like
on the situation, of course.
like we we often focus on US government and make broad sweeping generalizations about government in general, as
Mm-hmm.
if that is all it can be. But there are plenty, scores of other governments, and some of them actually do quite well
Mm-hmm.
and provide great things for their people and have scientists leading them. And, like Germany
Yeah.
had Merkel, she was a scientist,
Well, and we've talked about that before. It's like,
yeah,
I would not, people, I don't know. In the comments, there have been some no true Scotsman sort of things about me being an anarchist. But as an anarchist, I do believe that hierarchies are natural, hierarchies are necessary, and government is not a bad thing. Like, it's just a title, right? Like, it's
mhm,
the structure, it's the purpose, that matters more than whatever you call it. And yeah, when you're doing a thing, you have to organize people somehow. You can't have everybody going their own way and get anything done. You can't. Like, so you got to have some kind of structure, um, uh, some fashion of organization.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so it's like, I guess what I take issue with is the government as it stands out there, believing that like we're led to believe, and the government itself believes that it's justified in its existence purely because if it didn't, well, it would be chaos, which we know is not true. We know that's not true because in situations where the government completely is absent and fails, say like natural disasters, you just see people coming together and solving problems. Like, oh, you got like, you know, companies coming in, you got volunteers coming in, rescuing people, putting out fires, doing stuff. They just do the things they need to do to take care of the situation because that's what humans do.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
take care of each other.
The important thing not to lose sight of, though, is that it's still not all of one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's supplementation on
Well,
both ends.
yeah, and I think
Like
balance.
these are people who come together and patch the holes
Mm-hmm.
that the government fails to fill. But
Mm-hmm.
without the government, there would be a lot more holes, and like then it becomes like kind of a big clusterfuck. It's like, whoa, who's doing this or who's doing that, and like who's
But
going to help
also,
me and blah blah blah. Like,
there's the thing that like even with the government, there's still a lot of holes,
yep,
and so it's like, well, does government patch those holes? Is that its function? What is its function? And I think that's probably the question we should be asking. Is okay, fine, government. What do we actually want it to do? And I don't think that's a question that people ask themselves often enough. They just assume that we're propagandized that like this is the way. Go out there and vote, because if you don't, it's going to be anarchy, as if anarchy is a bad thing. you know, well, going back to labels, um,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
so, well, I guess my point is, if Three Eye Atlas is aliens, that whole thing, that dynamic will absolutely shift to where people like the things people cared about prior to it will no longer be that big of a deal, and there will be new things that people will care about.
yeah,
And it will definitely shift more towards humanitarianism, towards exploration, to working together more. Because like right now, it is stupid. This blows my mind that there are all these people who think, oh, well, Earth is it, right? Spaceship Earth, this is all we have. And yet they're willing to like kill each other and destroy it
yeah,
over like petty disputes, stupid ass things. Like what? This line that's on this map that some dude drew like 400 years ago, you're killing each other over that? Like, that is so stupid. And
mm,
so it's like, if we are of the mindset that this is all there is, we ought to be quite gentle to each other and caring toward each other because, well, this is all there is. you know so it
yeah,
kind of does. I don't know, it's mind-boggling, I guess, that that people behave in such a way, knowing that like, hey, why are we just dumping a bunch of shit into the atmosphere, like into the
yeah,
environment and not taking care of it? Like, okay, yes, I get it, we need industry, we need energy. Those are critical things for human evolution and survival, but we can work with the planet, we can work with the environment and have all those things at the same time. Like, we can have all the energy and we can also take care of the planet and take care of
Yeah.
each other. Like, what? How is that controversial? I don't know.
Yeah. I I feel like when most people hear the word addiction, they think of drugs or, maybe outside of that, like food or,
Mm-hmm.
sex or whatever, right? Any kind of indulgence that, the excess can lead to harm.
Mm-hmm.
But going further than that, I feel like excess of anything eventually leads to harm. And that tends to be at the core of a lot of these problems, like with governments and stuff. Like, I feel like the problem always comes from trying to have too much on their plate,
Yeah.
too much power, too much land, too much money,
Too many
whatever it is, it's
responsibilities,
going
too.
to destroy you at some point.
Too many responsibilities.
Yeah,
Look at like the police,
right.
right? Like, they're tasked with
Defund the
doing.
police is actually a very sound movement
Mhm.
because it's not about like taking all the money away from the cops. It's about restricting their budget to the absolute necessary things that they should be and are capable of being tasked with doing.
Yeah, which
That's
to
it,
me, I've always thought that the police should be doing kind of what private security does. Like, oh, you go on patrol, you make sure that people are not hurting other people, and if you see some weird shit like somebody trying to break into a house, you intervene. Um, that's what the police ought to be doing, or I don't know, like helping people that are broken down on the side of the road. I actually had a cop help me one time when my car, like the transmission went out. I was I It was pretty bad. I was like in the middle of a very busy road and I couldn't put the parking brake on. I had to sit there on the brakes and there's all these cars kind of going around. It's like rush hour and stuff. And this cop comes up behind me, fortunately, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, my transmission just went out, and if I take my foot off the brake, I'm going to start rolling." And he's like, "Well, you want me to push you around the corner?" I'm like, "Yes, please." And so he did. He just like used the bumper things on the front, pushed my car around to the corner, and I called AAA and got a tow. But like, see, that's what cops ought to be doing. We
Yeah.
And that's what government ought to be doing. Like, hey, we should see a measurable positive impact from the existence of these things, whatever they are. And if we don't, okay, well, now let's analyze that and figure out what the problem is. Um,
Imagine if paramedics operated the way police do. Rather than, like, because police should operate the way paramedics do. They should be constantly in motion and
mm-hmm.
theoretically then be closer to a crime when they get called to respond to
Yeah.
one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if paramedics acted the way cops did, they'd be like pulling cars over, be like, saw you had a cigarette there. Um, Pretty sure yeah, I smell lung cancer. Step out of the car, please. And then it's like, oh, no, I don't. Like, yeah. Oh, he's going into cardiac arrest. He's
Yeah, I
going
was
into
going to
cardiac.
say,
No,
yep,
I'm fine. I'm totally fine.
going to
Then they're
have a
just
heart
like
attack.
breaking his ribs and like,
Yep, and they just, just put down the defib on you and like, what?
yeah.
It's like, dude, I'm okay, man.
Stop defibrillating. Stop defibrillating.
Stop. Oh yeah, man. Well, and I think it's a perception thing that also it's like, because you had brought up the out of sight, out of mind kind of idea in a previous lightning strikes twice. This idea that basically, oh well, we have a system in place, somebody will take care of it. In a sense, it's a form of tragedy of the commons when it comes to economics. um, People are like, well, somebody will clean it up. I don't need to pick up that piece of garbage because there's somebody to do the job for me, um, or for the system or whatever. There's a person that does that. When like we need to take more ownership personally, I think. um, I mean, just as a good example, I love to go shooting in the woods, and the Capital State Forest tends to be the place I go. There's a lot of garbage there all the time. Like people leave their shotgun shells all over the place. And it's like, okay, well, if you leave brass, it's probably fine. But like they leave shit they've been shooting at. And that makes me pissed. Like the Captain Planet in me is pissed about that. For one, because it's like, hey, you could have just pack it in, pack it out, right? Leave it better than when you came. So usually when I go shooting, I take a garbage bag and I'll pick up stuff that isn't mine to help clean. Like I can't clean it all, but also, in the same vein, people who aren't shooting enthusiasts see that they go hiking or horseback riding, and they see these kind of places where people like to go shooting, and they're all full of trash, and they're like, yeah, those stupid people with guns, they just make a big ass mess, and it's like, well, this is ruining it for the next generation. And also it's just, why we should not, you don't litter, okay? Like it's that simple. And that goes back to, I mean, it kind of ties in with all this, that like all these wars and stuff that don't make any sense. Like we're destroying the planet, we're destroying each other. All the things that we built, we have to now build again because of some stupid ass squabble that somebody had, a couple politicians or something. And people were like, oh yeah, I don't like those guys, and they were like, I don't like you. And what's that meme, like, hey, hey, fuck you, fuck you. Like, what? There's no sense in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it, if there are definitely times for, I don't know, combat, um but there are definitely a lot more times where that is not justified, and people seem to think it's totally okay. um I don't know. It just so stupid. And meanwhile, we're like destroying the planet that we live on. And this goes back to aliens. Like they're going to look at that if they're traveling in their gigantic billion-year-old spacecraft, just looking at us through opera glasses, and they're going to be like, man, those guys are idiots.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like a YouTube channel that they have. They're just like live streaming all the stupid human things, like the pet videos.
Mm.
Like I could totally see that. They're just like, wow, look at these idiotic humans and what they're doing, and we're all thinking we're hot shit. you know
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Like the excess thing, not only is that, from an addiction standpoint, not healthy and tends to lead to bad things, even if not for you, but for others.
Mm.
Um, that also does tie into what we're doing to our environment and to our planet.
Yeah.
You know, um, the the production and transportation of crude oil products for energy and whatnot
Mm-hmm.
is creating like 76 or something percent more energy than we actually need to be consuming just to make the energy and give the energy to other parts of the world. Like,
Yeah.
rather than just like create energy where you can and keep it local and, create
Yes.
as much as you need for where you need it, however you can, the best way
Yeah.
you can. Like Iceland is, like it's not a lot of people there, but it's 100% geothermic. There's no nuclear, there's no coal, there's no wind or solar they worry about. It's just geothermal.
Yeah. And they happen to live in a
And that
place
makes
where you can
sense,
do
and it
that.
works for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Use what works.
Yeah.
Well, and I like oil and coal and stuff made sense 100 years ago, and they made sense up into fairly recent times, I guess. It is convenient, and we've developed it to quite a level to where we can draw a lot of energy out of that stuff.
Yeah.
However, in the meantime, we've developed technologies that supersede that by a wide margin.
Yeah.
And that's all being ignored. Like, because
And it's been deadly from the get-go, like breathing it in, mining it, like
yeah,
it's always been kind of a
problematic.
detriment.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, but early days, it sort of made sense. But like, okay, because it was what we knew.
Yeah.
We work with what we know. Now we know how to do stuff that is far more uh, improved beyond that stuff. So it blows my mind that, like, because I'm an advocate for nuclear power. Like, nuclear power is the solution. Like, even fission. We're obviously working on fusion, which that would be a game changer if that was developed. But currently, it is well established. 100 years ish of like we know how to do fission. Um, so why don't we do it? Why are we not doing it everywhere? Why is there still coal out there being burned? Why do we have petrol engines running? Like,
and
we
it's
should have
stupid
nuclear powered.
inefficient. Like
Yeah.
heat loss and like the byproducts, like
Yeah, you
fucking
got
up the
to account
environment
for
and
the
everything. Like
emissions and
this,
stuff.
totally unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay, we should be building incrementally. We shouldn't be like, yeah, like, and see, nuclear power is kind of like the magic door to energy independence. We would never have any issues ever again. Like, sure, we have to worry about food and water and space to live in and stuff like that, but energy, we figured that out a long time ago. Like, we've sussed that. There should there's no excuse. Like, it should be basically free at this point.
Yeah.
Like, why is my utility bill so goddamn high? You know, like, it ought to cost me $10 a month or something like that for all the energy I consume.
Let's try the 5 whys method to get to the bottom of that. Why aren't we using more nuclear?
Well, I think there's one key factor, of course, is the companies who produce oil and other energy sources are able to lobby governments to push that down.
Well, then the question is, why are they doing that?
Profit.
Yeah.
Essentially, I mean,
do we need to ask why they want profit?
Yeah, we
I think
don't
it's
know.
safe to say we can stop there.
And I think, well, we can say there's, if it were like a privately held company, that'd be a totally different conversation. But in this case, it's shareholders.
Right.
Shareholders are to blame for a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of wrongs that corporations do.
Yeah. I honestly think like stock markets are kind of bullshit. Like I feel like the world would operate just fine without them. Actually, probably better.
I think the stock market has a value in a very limited context, in the sense of you need to raise capital to start a business that you don't have the resources to do. So you put your idea out there, kind of like, well, we have a thing. It's called crowdfunding, right?
Yeah.
You put out your
exactly.
concept,
Like
and people
kind of
pay
not
into
what
it.
it's for. You can't do that. Like you already have to go to like angel investors and friends and family and
Well, there's
stuff like
venture
that to get up
capital.
or have money already, or a
Yeah.
rich daddy or whatever. But barring that, you can't just go public with a company. Like it's so fucking complex, the stock market.
Yeah.
All these freaking rules and regulations that aren't there to protect anybody but these corporations and their shareholders.
You
Like,
are 100% correct. Yes.
yeah,
It's all
like,
about protecting the
yeah, it's
establishment.
not even there for benefiting the government. It's all about these
Yep.
fucking elite
Yep.
bastards.
It is. Yep.
And like there's nothing, no redeeming value to the stock market anymore. Maybe
Right.
once upon a time it was exactly what you were talking about, where
Yeah.
you could be like, hey, look, I got this company and we're struggling, but we got a really good thing going, and maybe you buy some shares or something, and
Yeah.
like that would be great. But it's not how it works anymore.
It well, once you're established, there's no reason to even be on the
Yeah,
stock market,
because
right?
you can like do that and then fail and then be like, hey, guess what, your stocks are now like, we're doing this crafty maneuver thing to make it where your $100 stock is now worth $1.60. Sorry, but we had to restructure things, and but we're still in business.
Yeah. I
At
know.
least we're still in business. Hey,
No, yeah, exactly.
you know, it's so
No, I
stupid.
well, and this goes back to kind of what I was saying about the evolution of things, that where we had the tribal system, and then there were religions that were developed and they became the thing, and then we had governments, and we're at a point where we can move beyond all of that, honestly, knowing what we know now. And when it comes to energy, it's like, well, there was a time where people burned wood to cook things, and they burned dung, and then they figured out that, oh, you can refine oil and do this, and like there's coal down in the ground, dig it up and burn it. And we were like, oh yeah, because there's drawbacks to everything, of course. And so they're like, it's kind of stinky when we're burning dung all day long, and the food tastes weird. um and we get to this point, and now we're at a point where we have developed a technology that absolutely trounces anything else. Nuclear power is far beyond any of the other alternative things, including what we currently use, and we're not using it. Well, same thing with governments. Like, hey, we know a lot more now about how we should conduct ourselves. Why don't we just do it rather than pray to the same gods from the Greek past or something like that? It's so stupid. Like,
Yeah,
hey, we have this. Why don't we just use it? Huh?
I bet
Like,
I bet the aliens don't have stock markets. I bet
probably
I
they
bet
they probably did.
imagine trying to explain to Three Eye Atlas aliens if they came down here. They'd be like, "What is this stock market?" And you'd be like, "Well, it's um well, it's pretty simple. You know, there's money there.
Yeah.
Um,
But then
you can
sometimes
you
there's
can give
not.
them money, right? You can give them money, and they'll give you um um a piece of their business. Oh, so you're a part owner? Yeah, I mean, well, like not really. Just like a little itty bitty piece. And oh, okay. Well, what good does that do you? Well, when the business does well, that little piece becomes a slightly larger piece. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. And if and some people become like super rich overnight with that, and the aliens are going to be like, oh, okay, what if the business doesn't do good? Oh, well, buy low, sell high. And they'd be like, well, yeah, no shit, but what happens if the business doesn't do
Yeah.
well? uh, you know well, you lose your money. And then they'd be like, this sounds like gambling. Oh, no, 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 it's not gambling. It's not gambling. Like,
Well, they'd be
yeah, good
confused
luck
about
explaining
gambling
that to
too.
aliens.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and actually, it's kind of an interesting thought experiment.
Mm.
We should analyze everything in our daily lives as if we have to explain it to aliens,
Yeah,
shouldn't we? Right? Like
that's a
every
good
single
idea.
thing that exists, like imagine whatever, look at anything, any system, whatever it is, and imagine some species from a distant star comes to visit and is asking you about this thing. And you have to explain it to somebody who doesn't know anything about that. They're like, well,
Mm.
like we're like transcendental beings and don't need energy at all. We don't even eat. We don't poop. So, like, how do you explain it to those kinds of beings? Like the
Right.
things that we're doing. And at that point, the cracks start to form. When you have to justify things and use circular reasoning and like, wait a minute. And then all you at that point, it's like you get an epiphany where it's like, oh yeah, this doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? You
That would
know?
make a great book, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh
just
yeah.
like every chapter is like some aspect of humanity that is incredibly difficult to explain to an alien,
Mm-hmm.
like
That would actually go along with this book idea that I had, kind of a semi-anarchist explanation book, I guess. I should make that should be incorporated into there. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna make it a zine, but I realized like I'm too old to make a zine. Um, hmm. But we should be looking at things through that lens and
yeah.
questioning things. And if it doesn't make any sense, if you can't explain it to an alien, then maybe it shouldn't exist. You know,
Mhm.
like you could easily explain a lot of things. Like, oh, they're like, why are you um putting things in that weird machine that rotates and hits things with uh energy and makes it hot, and then you shovel it with a scoop into your mouth.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay, if I don't do this, I wither away and die. And then they're like, well,
Right.
what about that thing, that weird room that you go to where you deposit your excrement? Like, well, I mean, it just kind of fucking happens. Um, and we're a little ashamed about it. So we make it a private space where we can do that. Um, like, okay, you can explain that, right? That
Yeah.
sort of makes sense. Like, oh,
What
how
bad
can
things happen if somebody watches you removing the excrement from your anus in this private room?
and then see, the aliens would be like, well, wait a minute. So you're saying y'all are ashamed of this, but we found some websites where people are like, there's like videos that people like hundreds of thousands of views. But
Yeah, and
so
they're
wait a
all
minute.
speaking German for some reason.
Oh man. They're like, wait, are those Germans? They don't have any shame, do they? Uh, hmm. Well, yeah, okay, so they do, but it's about other things. Yeah. No, that would be, see, that's a good concept that we should be thinking about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like everything that you hold dear, that you believe in, everything that you think is important, go ahead and try to explain it to aliens.
Yeah. It's better than the whole explain it to an 8-year-old or whatever, because that is just that's implanting this idea that you just need to use a lower level of language,
And it's
like,
human to human at that point too.
yeah,
So,
like, oh, they're just not old enough to understand it yet, but they will someday. But
mhm.
with an alien that has absolutely no idea about this, no concept, like, could never be here long enough to integrate to where it would actually make sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mhm.
And there are plenty of things you could explain to them, and they probably would be able to draw some kind of analogical reasoning line between their system of doing things
Yeah.
and ours, but other things probably not,
Well, you things would have to be justified in a sense of survival and things like that. They'd be like, well, how come you guys go deep underground with picks and shovels and steam machines and diesel powered machines and stuff and dig up this black rock and then you burn it? And it's like, well, because we get cold, and cold is bad for humans, like hypothermia and stuff like that. We also need to cook, and that's how we cook right now, or whatever. Because they could be like, well, how come you don't do this thing? And like, well, we don't even know that that thing is a thing. uh, y'all have that technology, we don't, so we're using coal, um, and dung and stuff like that. But
It
then there's
reminds me of
things.
this comic I saw. There was like a wolf and a guy jogging past the wolf, and the wolf was like, "Are you being chased? What are you running from, apex predator?" Uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
like, you
Hmm.
need to conserve your energy. What are you
Uh-huh.
doing? Like,
Hmm.
it's like, okay, yeah, exercise is good, but there are certain types that actually kind of don't make sense,
Well, and
like
yeah, when you really think about it, it
the
does
the wear
kind of.
and tear versus the benefit.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, and
yeah.
the way you'd explain it to aliens is like, well, the way the human body works is you have to beat it up a little bit, but not too much, so that the body's like, oh shit, I'm beat up. I've got to rebuild, and it builds it up a little bit stronger than it was before. Um, but you can't go too far.
We
No.
just drink this milkshake that stimulates our heart muscles and provides us cardiovascular energy. Why don't you do that?
Yeah. And we're like, wait, that's cocaine. Like, shit, I knew it.
Strange humans.
I'm gonna clip that. Oh, that's awesome.
We
But we.
gotta we gotta do this show like one of us dressed as an alien, and it's just like pretending like, what? Yeah. Can you explain that to me? I'm an alien. Like,
Mhm. Yeah. But it is something we ought to be, I think, doing self reflection of like, why are we doing all the things we're doing, and why are we not doing the things we're not doing? Um, like explain that to aliens. Uh, Man, that's a beautiful concept. It's so
yeah.
simple and succinct. Like, damn, that should be a class in school where somebody plays the alien. Well, you could have an AI play the alien too. Like, it'd be impartial, and you could program an AI to act ignorant like an alien of human affairs, and ask all these questions, and then eventually the humans realize like, oh yeah, that's kind of stupid, isn't it? Like, what? I mean, it made sense before and now it doesn't. Hmm.
Or you could pretend to be the alien and see if AI can.
Oh,
Yeah, that
justify.
would be actually pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Like something that isn't human trying to play the devil's advocate for humans
Yeah,
against a human that's pretending to be an alien.
I'd be curious to see its analysis of that,
Yeah.
because yeah, like how would an AI justify some of the things? God damn it, now I want to do this.
Right.
Okay, chat GPT pulling that up after this probably. Oh man.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea.
Well, we don't need to do it within this episode, but it could be a fun episode to do, honestly.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, since we proposed it, we have to prove it, right?
Right.
Well, like, let's see if that, like, what fruit this bears.
I'm down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's do it. And we could do it on both ends too. Have it play the role of an alien who doesn't know anything about the ways of human beings and is very curious and asking about things. And we can also have it play the role of a human trying to justify the things that we ask. Of like, why are you doing that? Man, this is a good idea. Holy
So
shit.
I just pulled up like Perplexity and asked it, pretend I'm an alien, explain the stock market to me in a way that I can understand. And it was all like, and it pretty much says the thing I was like joking about is like the stock market is a system on planet Earth where humans buy and sell tiny pieces of companies called stocks or shares with the hope of making their resources grow over time.
Oh
And then
man,
it
yeah.
goes on, but like,
Nice. Nice.
oh man, that would be a pretty fun episode. And then just
Hmm.
keep probing it, like why,
Yeah.
why?
Well, yeah, because you could dig layers deep into that
Yeah.
about every facet of something.
Hmm.
Holy shit. More people need to do that, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like kitchen sink in a bottle, kitchen sink microscopy in a bottle,
Yep.
essentially. Um, these are the things we do.
Exactly.
We, through our fuel of ethanol, we uncover the deep truths of the cosmos and human existence. And
Strange humans drinking
yeah.
ethanol.
See, that's gonna stick with me now. Man. Oh god. Imagine that. Like aliens arrive and like they're just a bunch of coke fueled
They're
party
all
people.
dusted.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man.
They all like have little like white Hitler stashes going.
Hmm. They're like, well, we've been awake for 4 billion years, man. Wait, what's that? It's cops, isn't it?
You know how fast we were going on 3 Eye Atlas?
Oh,
Woo!
woo!
You see
Oh
us
yeah.
come around the sun? Whoa, boy.
Geez, now I gotta
We
watch.
lost like 3 billion tons, but whoa, boy, that was a ride.
Now I gotta watch heavy metal. I think it was like the early part of the movie. It's a good movie. Everybody should watch it. It's so good. Holy shit. If you
See me
haven't
do
seen
those Brodies in front of Jupiter, man.
well, they had the machine that would like chug out like lines of like mountains of coke. Nosedive. Oh man. That was
Say
such a
hello to my Martian friend.
oh man. Oh yeah. Good times. Of course, I don't know
Geez.
if anybody's watching now, but you should
Yeah.
be. Damn it. Oh
Oh man.
man. What a good episode.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to talk about Floyd.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
well, we'll do that another day, I guess. Yeah. Man, holy shit. Goddamn good episode.
Yeah. Yeah, actually yesterday was 2 days since my dad or 2 years since my dad died.
2 years?
Yeah,
God, it feels
already.
like it was just like last year. Holy
Right?
shit.
Crazy.
Man.
And I went back and watched that episode we did where we like told some stories about him, and then
Mhm.
I like spliced in a clip of the funeral and where he sang at his own funeral, and the priest was
Mhm.
like, you know what, this is the first time I've had someone sing at their own funeral.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I started thinking to myself, you know what, like he might be the only guy ever to have sang at his own wedding and at his own funeral in the same church 50 years apart.
Holy shit. Wow.
And the church, which stands across the street from where Bing Crosby grew up, so it's
Oh wow. Oh my
like
god.
a lot of good crooners in that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, your dad was quite the vocalist.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
there's
I kind of can't like listen to that without crying, like
yeah,
that was
I know. That's
a nice emotional moving
mhm.
piece.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Well, I have a few tools that I collected from his house, and like every time I use one of the tools that I got from him, I'm like, "Hey, thanks, Jerry."
Yep.
Like, oh, that screwdriver or the bolt cutters or something, Like, yeah,
Oh
man,
yeah.
jeez. Ah, it seems like we're ending on a downer note. Damn
Yeah.
it. We shouldn't. We should be ending on an like an uplifting, optimistic thing. Like going back to what we were talking about. Hey, we should be, because I think it's optimistic to have to justify all the things that we do on daily and the things that we hold dear and think are so important. We should have to justify it to aliens.
Yeah.
And
Aliens don't cry at funerals. They do a line of coke.
well, no, they pee. It comes out the other end, sadly. Well, the Rigelians do, at least. Just you don't want Rigelians at your funeral.
Wouldn't want to
Just
be stuck
saying.
behind one of them in the theater.
Oh man. But in doing so, I think we can kind of like clean house, right? Like sweep all of the cobwebs out of our head of all this stupid ass shit that seems like such a big deal that we stress over and fight over, and come to this point where it's sort of a point of bliss where, like, oh yeah, none of this matters. Like the things that matter are the things that keep us alive and further our existence and our evolution and stuff. Like those are the things that matter. Taking care of people. Well, and even with the inevitable entropy of human existence and life in general, consoling people about the loss of a loved one and whatnot, and like, yeah, actually, that's something too, because we were discussing previously. I can't remember if it was like during this episode or if it was in the Lightning Strikes Twice. No, I think it was in the LST episode, not to be confused with the LSD episode. Whoa,
Different
yeah,
aliens.
yeah. But sentience, like what is humanity and stuff, and there are plenty of species, like elephants have funerals for their dead,
Mhm.
and they're not alone. There's a lot of animals that mourn the loss of somebody. And then there's other animals that don't. They're like, fuck it, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat that dead thing there.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I
So
think,
there's a lot of ways to handle death, even. And
yeah.
who's to say what's right or wrong?
Well, there's human civilizations who eat the dead
Yeah.
as part of a ritual practice. Like, oh yeah, there's somebody who died. You carve them up and you eat a little bit of them to ingest part of their uh, energy or soul or something. Um, and yeah, I mean, why not? We can't even define what sentience or life even is. So when
Yeah.
death happens, like, well, I mean, I can't fault somebody for doing whatever the hell makes them feel right in the world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And then, yeah, if you want to celebrate your loved one by eating them when they're dead, I mean, okay,
Mm-hmm.
have yourself a Donner party.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd be dead, so I wouldn't be able to complain. But that would be. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I have instructed everybody around me, like, I want a proper Viking funeral. Like, put me on a boat, set it on fire, and push it out to sea.
Yeah.
And of
My
course,
dad
it's
actually wanted that too, but think it's illegal.
It is. But like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Once it's done, it's done. Like, what are you going to do? Like, hit the rewind button on the remote control and like it all just comes back? No, do it. I would honestly, like, if my loved ones went to jail for a little while for doing that, for defying the government's uh, instructions, I'd be like looking down from on high, like, yeah, awesome. Yeah. Although I don't know if I'd be looking down from on high. I'd probably be. I'm going to hell. I'll say that. If hell exists, which we all know it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, Jesus. Oh, that reminds me. I had something to say about the Bible. Fuck, I forgot. Well, it was like 45 minutes ago, so I've totally forgotten it.
Something about aliens in the Bible, or
no, about the
government
people's interpretation of the Bible.
Hmm.
Oh, and the contradictions. Yeah, it was the contradictions in the Bible where people will say. Anyway, we all know that.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to read the Bible to know it's full of holes.
Yep.
Now, okay, there's some good stuff in there. Like the New Testament has some nice life lessons, I guess, and the Book of Psalms is awesome. Like, hey, maybe that should be like just sold standalone. The Book of Psalms, you know. Yeah.
It's kind of funny that the Old Testament has like no redeeming value to it whatsoever.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark as hell.
Super
Holy
dark.
shit. And then
And
the New
then
Testament,
you're like, how are the Jewish people good?
yeah.
You're like you even think about some of the books that were left out,
Yeah.
like the Tanakh or whatever, and it's like that shit was dark too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a book that
oh, city of bloodshed, the pot in which there is filth, whose filth is not gone out of it, empty it cut by cut.
which song was that we created?
Um,
Definition of a Friend, was it?
Vengeance.
Vengeance? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a long
good
time ago.
song.
It was
Good
like
song.
2003. Yeah. No, I have a book that's the Lost Books of the Bible, because of course there were many books that were not included, probably because of contradictions or things that would make the church look bad, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? But they
Yeah.
left a lot of stuff out. And those are the most interesting books. Like, yeah, you should read that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole Catholic Christian thing, I feel like that if you want to point to government as a religious institution, I would kind of blame them solely for that
Yeah.
parallel,
Mm-hmm.
because I really don't see any other religion operating in such a governmental way as the
There,
Roman Catholic Church,
well, yeah. Catholicism definitely is pretty yeah. But I mean, there's
like
other places in the world like Iran. Um, their government is a religious government. It's a theocracy.
mhm.
And there's a lot of other places that are kind of similar. But yeah, it is a weird thing, isn't it?
But yeah, I mean, so the Roman Catholic Church is like an offshoot of Christianity. It's not even like the most, like, I think there's more Christians than Catholics, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yet even Christians will look up to the Pope
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as a kind of like leader of some sort.
sure. Yeah, exactly.
and that's odd to me, you know, and I wonder, even with like these theocracies you mentioned with Islam and whatnot, because Islam does actually like believe in Jesus Christ and all that stuff. So I wonder if they even might defer a little bit to maybe more in the past than these more progressive
Yeah.
popes
Mhm.
in recent times. But like it just seems so strange that like something that, let's face it, kind of started out as a cult,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
became like the big player on the world stage in regards to religion.
Well, yeah, I mean, we also have to consider that back in the day, in like the Middle Ages and stuff, religious figures had more power than kings,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
yeah,
And then, of course, now kings have almost no power. Um,
yeah.
and now it's governments, and I believe there's a next stage of evolution, societal evolution, that involves like casting all that stuff off and being humanitarian, and populist, essentially, like, hey, you know, we got to take care of each other, and this is what, like, distributed governance, essentially, which I think totally can work. I mean, we have the technology. This is the thing. It's
Yeah.
like, sure, this probably wouldn't have worked in the 1800s or 1600s or something, but today, yeah, we could totally do that. Um, like,
I mean, in a way, like when you think about the Wild West, right?
mm-hmm.
You know, these sheriffs and stuff weren't like federal agents or something.
No,
You know,
actually, if you look into the history of the Wild West, it wasn't that wild. It was actually pretty chill for the most part. I mean, they had their own rules for different towns. Like, in fact, the Wild West had a lot of gun regulation. Like, you ride your horse into town, and they're like, oh, take your pistol out and put it in this box, and we're gonna hold it while you're here in town. Um, like that actually happened. And people think like, oh yeah, everybody just had guns all the time. I mean, well, yeah, they did, but there were also places where there were different rules, and like, well, okay, sure, when in Rome, right? you
yeah.
know like, if I ride into town and they're like, yeah, there's too many drunk people here, and you're about to go into the bar, hand over your pistol, I'd be like, all right, well, that's the rule. um
Yeah.
hmm.
Would you though? Like in this day and age, if you were asked to surrender your firearm to enter some place.
Oof. Oh god, that depends, man. This is opening a huge can of worms here, but
Right?
it depends on the place. Like, if I had a kid and I was picking that kid up from school, hell no would I surrender a gun. Um, I because I'm just picking up a kid. Um, it or there's a lot of places where bad shit happens. Boy, I don't know. It depends. Because, like, the thing is, I'm not inclined to do anything bad to people because I'm a person who cares about people and wants to do good. So it's like, yes, I'm constantly armed, but I would only use a firearm in self defense or defense of others. But there are a lot of people who don't obey the rules, and they're like, ah, yeah, well, okay, yep, I don't have any guns on me. Meanwhile, they have like a Glock tucked in their pants or something, and they mean to do harm. Like, God, I don't know. Boy.
Well, then, yeah, like it. We've asked the question before, like, is it only wrong if you get caught?
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you just lie and remain, you know,
I always do.
concealing it and if nothing happens, no one ever knows, nobody's hurt by
Yeah.
it. But if something goes down, and then you could be the good guy with the gun. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, when it's all said and done, then they'd haul you off to jail
They
anyway.
would. There would be consequences for being the hero in that situation, and
Yeah,
that's sad.
it is. Yeah.
But like that's a
Those,
whole
those are the things like that we really need to spread the word on jury nullification for.
yes,
Like there has
yes.
to be way more nuance
Mm-hmm.
in courts.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, buy the book. Well, oh, there's a Star Trek reference there. Buy the book. Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. Minutes instead of hours. Oh, wait. Also, wasn't the still old friend in that one, or was it Star Trek 3? I can't remember. Um, yeah, good times. But yeah, no, you're right. Like, we need good people to do good things and to defy the system, whatever it be it like governments, the religions, or whatever, when they're doing clearly wrong things. Like, I don't have a problem. The church that I used to attend when I was young, I think it's every Monday, they do like a grocery bag. So anybody can show up and they'll give you a bag full of food. Um, like, okay, that's arguably not bad. That's a good thing. Like, I don't have a problem with that. But when you have people doing, like the Crusades or something, killing people over religion, that's objectively a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's bad because it's justified on the basis of religion. Oh, the others, the unfaithful, the infidels, or whatever, whatever name, they've all got their names, and that somehow is okay to kill people, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
Same thing with government. Same thing with the police and stuff. Like, the police are told to do things that we know are wrong, and they should be defiant against um,
Well,
clearly wrong orders.
you know what this makes me think of that is happening right now in the news is like the SNAP benefit thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
where the federal court was like, "Hey, Trump, you gotta feed people. Like people need food, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to do that." And he's like, "No," and appealed it. And then they were like, "Actually, no, you actually really have to do this." And then he's like, "No, I'm appealing it again." And it's like, what? People are fucking starving. Like,
Well, yeah, and that
do the right thing. Like,
well, and in this particular situation, I would say, because we did talk about this a little bit previously, um, in this situation, it's like, okay, well, there's definitely a conversation to be had about the existence of Snap and like what it does and how it should operate. But in the here and now, there are people, it's kind of like if there's a watering hole that you went to all the time, you're like, okay, I'm carrying my bucket 5 miles to go scoop up some water to bring home, and you get there and somebody's concreted over it. Well,
hmm,
okay, you traveled there with the expectation that you'd be able to get water, and now you can't. um and it's very similar in this situation. Like, hey, yes, I know there's a huge conversation that we probably should have about how it should operate. But right now, people have become accustomed to it. Like, oh, yeah, I just use this thing. It's like if all of a sudden the Fed decided, like, oh, debit cards, they don't work anymore. You got to get this other thing. You got to like scan your DNA or something like that. We've decided. And you've become accustomed that you go to the store and you grab all your groceries and go up to the checkout line, and it's like, there's no card reader. There's just like a thing that pricks you in the hand and like takes a little DNA. Like, what the hell is this? And then it doesn't work because you haven't registered with it because you didn't even know about it. Um, I, yeah. So it's like, hey, just fucking let it go. Like,
Right.
this is not the hill you want to die on, man.
Yeah. Like whatever misgivings a person might have about Snap, like poor people are not the enemy.
No,
Like
no,
we
no.
gain nothing by punishing them for a situation that is arguably already punishment.
Well, and the thing is, they didn't remove those benefits specifically. It's a political thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's wholly political. That's the whole thing. And like, all right, well, I mean, that's fine if it's like, oh, I don't know, what flag can you fly on your state capital or something? That's inconsequential. That doesn't matter. But when it
Mhm.
comes to things like eating food, having clean water, like medical care and stuff like that, like, these are things I think most people, this is humanitarian shit.
Yeah.
Like, I, okay, look, how about this? How about we take all of this military shit and we stop making it, except for the bare necessities, and then we put all that resource into helping people, the lesser among us that need help. Like,
Mm.
I don't think that's wrong. How can anybody argue against that? But they do.
Yeah.
They're like, somebody will find a way to be like, oh, well, it's like, well, yeah, but we can have a conversation about the path forward, but in the here and now, it goes back to kind of, I guess, my firefighter analogy. Like, it doesn't do any good to sit there and argue with fellow firefighters about the cause of the fire while there's a fire burning.
Right.
Like, you look, y'all got to put this fire out right now. Put it out, and then you can have a smoke and a beer and have a conversation about, like, oh yeah, you should have been doing this thing. But like, don't sit there while the fire's burning and argue about who is responsible for this thing, and whether it should exist. Like, oh well, I don't know, these fire trucks, they were $20 million a piece. Like, yeah, bro, there's a fire. Let's put the fire out and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see things when it comes to humanitarian stuff, like homelessness and addiction and drug use and mental health and hunger and stuff like that. Like, okay, I'm fine with some of my work going towards helping people in need in the here and now. Um, Not in perpetuity, but in the here and now. Like, fine, we can have conversations. It's totally fine. But when people are in need, that is not the time to have the conversation, to be bickering and arguing about whether you should even do it or not. Like,
Yeah.
again, there's a building on fire there. There are people stuck up there. We've got to put it out. We got to rescue them. Like, this is not a time to argue.
Yeah. And that is always the problem. Like whatever solution you offer, whether it's, in this case, when it comes to like budgets or whatever, there's kind of like two different avenues that people look to for solving this. It's
Mm-hmm.
either raise tax to get more revenue to pay for the things, or reduce waste and fraud to take the existing money and provide for the thing that's needed.
Yeah.
And in either scenario, someone will be like, but we can't take away from this or that. And then all of a sudden, the conversation just shifts to this red
Yep.
herring, and
Yep.
you're not talking about solutions anymore. When really, like, both things can happen, maybe not at the same time, but
Mm-hmm.
like, there's, like, what there's also one way that's simpler than the other, like weeding out fraud and waste and stuff like that is a whole lot of moving parts, a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of like intensive labor and
I
cost in itself
I think
to
it's
do all that.
worthy to engage in that though, because that is always
Yeah,
present.
yeah. But you can do that later
Yeah.
when like all you have to do is like friggin' tax where there's a lot of money and bring in more money now, which,
Mhm.
hey, can then actually pay for a whole department to go fucking deal with the fraud.
Well, and there's
like you
here's the thing that
create problems that you don't have enough resources to solve, and then say, well, we can't get more resources though because like, like that's not fair, we have all these resources being wasted, we need to find a way to, well, yeah, we need a way to do that, but we need more resources to pay for the way to do that. you know
Mhm.
and so
And
you get into these fucking loops where
yeah,
I
this is
don't know,
true.
like it's
And I
ridiculous
would
how
I would I would say maybe like a hybrid approach would be good. Like crowdfunding some of this stuff could totally be a thing, but in the here and now, the thing is the US has the money.
mm,
Like it's a fiat currency for God's sake. Like
yeah.
they can just add a decimal place, literally. Yes, it comes with a little bit of pain on the back end, but like, hey, if you want to solve a problem, we can do that. Um, but we also should be addressing the other stuff at the same time. But yeah, like you're saying, that people will. It's like they'll ignore the fire in favor of arguing about what tire company provided the fire truck's tires. Like, does that really matter right now? Like, okay, we can figure that out. Yes, were those tires expensive? Uh-huh. Probably should look into that. But right now, there's a fire burning. We got to put the fire out. We have a fire truck. It's not like we don't have a fire truck. We've got it. Like, well, let's use it to put the fire out. And then we can have a conversation about the tires and the cost of the truck and all this stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but the problem is, it goes back to the either or too. So people will
Yeah.
be hyper focused on putting the fire out at all costs, like that's the only thing. When like, well, it's kind of both. We need to address the like, yeah, it is kind of stupidly expensive. Why is it so expensive? That doesn't make any sense. Like, how come the government is spending so much money on SNAP when food ought to be really cheap? It technically is. You know, like where's all that money going? Like okay, well let's address that. But in the meantime,
Hmm.
let's address the people who are dependent on that system. Um,
The
I would like to
problem
see
is
people
people,
be,
actually.
huh?
The problem is people. It's not the
Yeah.
government, it's people.
Well, people are part of the government. They form the
Exactly.
government. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you make a good point. The government does have the money. The government does have the power to decide to just be like, okay, we just fix this then.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the people
Mm-hmm.
making these decisions. It's the people gouging the government just because they can.
Mm-hmm.
It's people everywhere you look. People are making these fucked up decisions, and I swear, any which way you point to where a problem is occurring, and it's occurring because somebody is making money off of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and
Like,
and like I had brought up, excuse me, in the previous episode, like so, okay, SNAP benefits, not they're not paying out. Well, they're kind of half-ass paying out, kind of. Um, so not really up to the level that they're supposed to.
mhm,
Um, so they're cutting that, okay, which is a life or death thing. Like if you don't eat, it's kind of like if you don't breathe.
yeah,
If I held your head underwater, you would not be alive in 12 minutes. You would be dead. And obviously, you can go a long time without eating, but I mean, 3 weeks, 30 days ish, maybe max. Um, but that's, we are talking kids and stuff like that. So they'll withhold those things, those funds. But then during a shutdown, the government will spend money to make custom signs and barricades to cordon off a park, which is just a place you can go. It's part of the earth, right? But they'll like, oh, it's closed. Like, you fucking paid money to make those signs. Millions of dollars goes to all that shit. They hired people to go and deploy all this stuff and rope off things. And it's like, well, what if you just didn't do that and then funneled some of that to the stuff where people actually need it?
I don't think an alien would understand that at all.
They would definitely not. No. No. It's, man. Wow, this is we've gone in a lot of directions, but it's all kind of focused in a good place.
Yeah,
I think. Mm-hmm. Man, yeah. Going back to Three Eye Atlas, I hope it's aliens. I hope. Um, going back to going back to Star Trek, of course. It's either Star Trek or Red Dwarf, but the episode where Riker was undercover on that planet, and that lady, the hot girl, is like, I've always wanted to make love to an alien, and like they totally hooked up. Yeah, I would.
Riker's all like, well, who am I to not oblige? Yeah,
Yeah.
of course I can help you out with that.
Oh, in the interest of interspecies uh humanitarian,
or the humanitarian thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we want our species to get along in the best way. Of course, trade in sex, is I always say. So hey aliens up there, if you're up there, any triple titted alien girls, I'm here. Come and take me. But then again, I'm a fucking slut, so. Hmm.
Then, what if these aliens actually live like billions of years, which seems biologically not possible, but I'm going for a larger point here. And then we come to find that some of them date other aliens that are just a few million years old. Are they pedophiles?
Oh. You brought up
Your girlfriend is 5 million years old? You sick fuck.
No, it's a good point too. It's all relative, right?
You are 30 billion years old and you're dating a 5 million year old? Oh, disgusting.
And of course, on Earth, there's
only 2 ice ages. Oh, jeez.
Man. See, these are ask an alien. That's what it comes down to. We need to do that more and more. Geez. Well, that's a more uplifting angle to end it on, I think.
Yeah.
We're in almost 2 hours at this point, so I think we can conclude. We've
pedophile
solved
joke is uplifting.
Yeah. Well, when you're talking a 5 million year old person, I mean, yeah, that's older than human civilization, essentially. Yeah, man. Well, okay. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this. Geez, goddamn. I was gonna recap what we covered, but we kind of covered everything and solved a bunch of problems, didn't we?
Yeah.
As usual. Like shit, man.
Thanks for
Ama-
deep sink diving into Three Eye Atlas and humanitarianism and governments and stock markets and asking aliens how things work.